think I'm live. I'm totally live. Hey, I'm live. I'm live. Let's see if we can get this to work. Hey, live from Tina's bedroom. Live from Marie's bedroom. All we're doing is putting away clothes. Well, we're cleaning our room, because, homeboy said so. Clean your room. So we're cleaning our room. Listening to some music. And trying not to lose our fucking minds. Which hasn't been too easy lately. Because the whole world's on fire. But we're doing what we can. So this is my room. I share this room with my kids. Nice lady let me stay here at the beginning of last year. Cut off the light here. And then the whole world caught on fire, so here we are. Still. I'm always sure that they want me out of here, but that's just my mental illness talking. But this is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing. Trying to live and operate in this world, with my ailments, depression, anxiety, PTSD, blah, blah, blah. But, you gotta live, or else what do you do? So that's what I've been doing for quite a few years now, is just trying, as the good Reverend Ice-T would say, Ice-T, ooh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Cube. The good Reverend Ice Cube would say, trying to maintain. That was so bad. I don't stream or record, so it's a little nerve-wracking. But anyway, that's what I've been trying to do for the last few years, is just maintain. And it's been rough, difficult, but I have a couple kids, a few of them actually, but I talked to two of them because they're still young enough to love me, and they think I'm totally poggers. But so we're talking about mental health. So if I was just single and doing my own thing, then it would be a different MO. I could, with the barriers that I have to employment and housing, and this pretty bleak outlook I have for the future, I could just be like, hey, fuck it, let's develop a fucking heroin addiction, right? Because, once you get in the system, you need to have one of these ailments that they have a program for, and there's no programs for people like me. And I've said this before, and that's, whatever, it sucks. But there really isn't. So, and if it wasn't for the grace and kindness of, the woman that I'm staying with, I would be out in my car on the street, probably be in the hospital by now, maybe even in jail, but, that's always my whole point, is stay out of the hospital. Stay out of jail, because they both suck really bad. Really bad. Unless you're in the club or whatever, then, you got, you go see your friends and whatnot, but I'm not in that club, so, and I really want to stay out of that club, I don't want my mental health to get any worse. But I also don't have a lot of tools presented to me to operate in this space, this space of, there's really no place for you in this world, but we still want you to get by, because, well, you have to, they don't really want me to, but whatever, there's no space for people like me, because I'm not sick enough, I'm not addicted enough, I'm not violent enough, I'm not, whatever, I'm right on the edge. And that's the fucked up part, is when you get into the situation, that you trickle down basically through the system, you know, and you have to come out of one of these funnels. You know, it's like one big funnel. You got to come out of one of these places, like that little fucking Price is Right game, every little blinky thing, right? But there's only so many spaces you can come out at, and I've been trying my hardest to stay out of those spaces. You know, even though I've done the steps, you know, that you're supposed to do, but somehow I always get deviated. You know, I went to the shelter even though I didn't want to, and then I got kicked out of there. So, and then when I tried to go back, they were total assholes. You know, so it's like, what do you do? There's, you know, the DV shelters are just like, fuck you, because, you know, I'm dangerous, apparently. But anyway, the point is going through this labyrinth of madness after DV and, you know, sexual abuse and whatnot, and trying to maintain some semblance of mental health, but also not be silent anymore, you know, because the silence is what got me here in the first place. You know, shutting up and toeing the line will literally only get you so far, you know. Maybe other bitches do it better than me, I don't know, but I haven't figured out how to do it just yet. And if I shut up now, then everything was pointless, you know, all the trials and tribulations or whatever, and the fights for justice will be pointless, you know, and it'll be like all this, you know, it will all have been in vain. And it's really important for me for that not to happen, but I'm trying to find a way to be able to do that. Well, you know, so everything's been locked down and stuff, and I don't really have any friends anyway. So then the lockdowns happened, so it was really hard to make new friends, and discuss things with, you know, and be able to bounce ideas off and whatnot. So then the only spaces you have left is like online spaces, and that's just like completely toxic bullshit. You know, half the stuff that's even said, on online forums and, you know, social media platforms or whatever is just a bunch of literal bullshit. Like, it's just shit, and they're trying to see what we're all gonna swallow, you know. And that's fine for everybody else that likes to play the game, but I don't, and it disgusts me that they want me to play that game, and that they want me to teach my children that game. You know, that's what has gotten us all to this point now. You know, this social McJustice bullshit where they took a really great idea of justice for all and then turned it into this really like fucked up Hunger Games style bullshit, you know, that like gets us all like mental, you know. And for years I was very like spunky and feisty and stuff, but then I mellowed out and I was very justice minded, and I was trying to follow the protocol and all that, and then so for a long time I would just keep the opinions to myself and not rock the boat. You know, it was trying to play this very delicate balance of not fall out of my own boat, but then also like kind of like help other people in their boats. Like, hey man, you know, we're all in this together, you know. But very justice minded, because I always have been. It's just the way it's just the way it is. I always have been, and I can't help it. But then I saw how they like twisted everybody and got everybody crazy. It's like they're just trying to make more mental health consumers, you know. And I know that that's not a very popular opinion. And some people will say it's very Alex Jonesy, but that motherfucker's always right, so whatever. Most of the time. But that's what the only outlets personally that I've had for the last year for sure, but a couple years now, has just been either online in that battlefield, that Hunger Games ID poll battlefield, or on my own. So what I started doing this last year was art. well, art, you know, and then like real art, what people consider real art, and then what I call protest art. There's like a lot of, maybe people might call it installment art too, you know, but whatever. But like physical 3-dimensional stuff, you know, where I paint garbage and make little people out of it, you know, and you know, each color symbolizes this, and each symbol means that, and whatever. So, sometimes it's little people, sometimes it's just painted cans and bottles and garbage. Sometimes it's food. But it all means something, and the places that it ends up going to, they're intelligent enough to get the message. I hope, anyway. My son calls it psychological terrorism, but I call it turnabout being fair play. Okay, so those are my only outlets. So when I don't have the spoons to conjure up the creativity or the muse to be able to do like pretty art, you know, meaningful art, then I go and I do protest art. And it's been very helpful. Helpful internally for sure. Even just doing it. So just making the art itself is very meditative, even if it's just painting. And I'm talking like I'll paint graham crackers and shit, right? But like painting cans and painting bottles and, you know, painting newspapers and whatnot. That's very meditative because art is just healing anyway. But then delivering these pieces to their intended destinations, or depending on the mood, sending my bombs to the targets. The delivery itself ends up being like an exercise in empowerment. And I know it sounds a little weird, but it really is. For a really long time, I don't like being seen at all, you know, because DV is pretty pervasive and it really gets into every aspect of your whole being, you know, so don't be seen, you know, cover your face, all that shit. So even though I'm not a big fan of masks at all, it's just funny because when I deliver my art, I never wear a mask, and I totally should, but whatever. So hiding for so long and being quiet for so long, and just swallowing it over and over and over again, you know, really left a mark on me. You know, it was tolling. So delivering these pieces, or even putting them up, because a lot of times it's words, you know, justice for people, you know, or one was like divided we fall, you know, stuff like that. And it takes time to put it up, and to me it is an exercise in humility and empowerment and perseverance even, you know, and bravery. And I know it doesn't seem very brave, but to me it is, you know, so it helps me. And then hopefully somebody sees it and it, you know, it makes them think. You know, even if it doesn't, sometimes, you know, I've encountered a few people while I was actually out doing the things, and I've gotten really good responses. I had a couple of, you know, not so good responses, but whatever, that's to be expected. But for the most part, it was very, very, like, overwhelming responses, you know, meeting people, mostly homeless people, because it's just where I operate, you know, my town. But they saw me putting up, like, you know, fuck the police things and the different colored rags and stuff, and they were very like, thank you, you know, for saying this. Thank you for, you know, being here, whatever. And so that was really cool. But even if they don't, that's fine, because I really don't like people talking to me when I do my thing anyway. But if it makes you think or moves you, you know, that's like, my work is done, you know. That was the intention. It's been really helpful, you know. It's been really helpful for me anyway. But it's lonely as fuck. Okay, lonely as fuck. and disheartening, because after a while it's like, in space no one can hear you scream, and it's not, I don't want, that's one of the reasons I do it all on my own, is because, number one, I'm afraid of people, so I have social anxiety, so being around groups of people kind of freak me out, and then, two, like, the groups of people that I identify with, I'm not allowed to sit with, because of one reason or another, I'm either too white, or I'm too not white, or too much of a girl, or too loud, or whatever, but I can't sit with them, Becky, so that's fine. You do that part, I'll do this part, so it's not a matter of, I want recognition for what I've done, like my art, but I really hope that people do see it, just because, just like when people gather and protest, they want awareness, and that's all I'm trying to do is create my own tiny little pockets of awareness when I can, the moments where I have had confidence and energy and whatnot, then I did go and try to participate in the groups, but it was still really nerve-wracking, yeah, really nerve-wracking. But I have, a serious problem being watched, so, and I don't care, man, y'all gotta know that if you're out there protesting, them motherfuckers watching you, and trying to see what your triggers are and how can they be better agent provocateurs, and that's just crazy, so I try to avoid that. But anyway, those are the things that have been helping my mental health. Not being allowed to have a voice, letting people take my voice, because I have some responsibility for that, just a little bit. There's power imbalance for sure, but I have some responsibility in that book, because so having my voice taken from me and then letting it go for so long really fucked with my head, and there's parts of me that know, so like your words are a tool, like any tool, it could be used as a weapon, because words are obviously weapons too, but like any tool has to be used responsibly, any weapon has to be used responsibly, so it's always kind of nerve-wracking for me, because for a minute there when I first got it back, I lashed out, and it wasn't well received, believe it or not. So now I've been trying to learn how to use that voice responsibly. It's really hard sometimes, whatever. We're all human. So it's a little easier when I'm doing my own protest art, using my voice that way. It's a little bit easier, because most people don't really get it anyway, and if you get it, hey, cool. But as far as like, talking to people, engaging people like online, and trying to be able to relay the ideas that I need to relate in the space that I'm provided and in the culture that exists has been proven really fucking challenging. It's almost like like the world is one big fight club now, right? And it maybe has been for a long time, that's fine. But it definitely is now. Still going? Yeah, it's still going. I've never done this before, so. But it's challenging, you know, and I put my man pants on, pulled them up, and I know my intentions, but they don't, you know, so, still, because I am so justice-minded, I do have a problem punching down, you know, and I do have a problem when I hurt someone else's feelings, because I know what that can do, you know. I know that if you're already pretty unstable or whatever, and you're just out there looking for a glimmer of hope, and somebody comes down on you, then that could ruin your whole fucking day, you know. But I also have to know that I had to be cool with myself and go, hey, don't let this one bad thing ruin your whole day, and then let that ruin your whole life. So I have to, like, give them that responsibility too. So that's been hard, to be able to be assertive and honest and staying in alignment with my values, you know, while also in a really weird fucked up way, like trying to teach people how to do this, you know, even though I don't know how to do it, but hey, it's working for me, and by all accounts I should be dead, so doing something right? But man, that shit's hard, because what do they say, you can't please all the people all the time, right? And so like, yeah, but I totally can. I totally can, but I can't. But and also now we get to the point where, like, everyone else gets to see that same mob that comes after you if you fuck up really bad, you know. And I've already had that mob come after me for not even fucking up bad, simply for stating the truth about what was going on in the system, you know. So the thought of, like, having that come after me again is pretty scary, even though it's like, what are you gonna do? Cancel my life? Hello? I'm already canceled, you know. But I'm okay. I'm not okay with it because it's wrong, but I'm okay with it in here because I know there's women that have come before me that tried to do the same thing and spread the same message that got, like, dead in a fucking ditch canceled, right? So I know I'm doing pretty good, you know, but I don't want to do them dirty on the way, you know. They were with me in spirit when I first, you know, reclaimed my voice and stood up and pulled up my pants and was like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore because, you know, mental illness had, you know, whatever, their voices, you know, not voices, I don't hear voices, but the screams of all the lost souls, you know. Yeah. But, you know, I couldn't enjoy things because I would hear them going, you know, what about us, you know. So anyway, so when I said, hey, okay, I'm going to do this and risk everything to do this, then, you know, it was okay, you have to do it in the right way, you know, by trying to make progress in the world, but also not forgetting those who came before you and the sacrifices that they made, you know. And there's a whole lot of women and a whole lot of men. They know who they are, and they don't need my defense. They have enough. But there's been a whole lot of women that really did make the ultimate sacrifice, you know, and I can't forget them, you know. But I also can't harp on too much because I get all depressed and shit, so whatever. So, the situation that I'm in and the barriers that I have to progress, be it employment, housing, and mental health, you know, have kind of got me in a corner, right? It ain't no new corner. It's been here forever, you know. I'm not special except for I'm still alive, okay? But it's a pretty unique corner, and I try to learn how to navigate that corner and how to not navigate it, not to stay in that corner. But the unfortunate part is, like, most of the world knows, they can recognize that you're in that corner, you know, and they're going to capitalize off of it because capitalism rules, right? But I also have to learn how to do that, you know, because this is the world we live in. Okay, so in the corner, gotta operate. I don't want to be a robot. I don't want to be a script kiddie, you know. Blink twice if they're holding you hostage type of deal, you know, because for a long time they felt like they were, and I'm like, fuck that. So I have to maintain my mental health and maintain my wits about me, and still try to start scraping together some semblance of a normal life, right? Well, all that requires action. Direct action, if you will. And those options of the action, the direct action, are pretty limited. They were already pretty limited for me to begin with because of my own limitations. But then the whole world caught on fire, and, you know, now they're really limited. So it all ends up being about direct action, you know, even if that direct action is laying in bed and not doing anything, you know, taking care of yourself, taking a bath, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, you know, and now a lot of those things, are seen as selfish, self-care, especially to people with mental health issues, and abuse issues. Self-care has been painted to be you being selfish, and if you want to stay alive, you have to be selfish, you know, at least a little bit, you know. It would be perfect if we all went into that box of selfishness and, like, they all want us to, so then you play the game, but that's just not me. So, but I have to be able to take care of myself. So the things that I resisted, you know, for a long time: exercise. I know that, you know, obviously I don't do that much, but I do a little bit. And when I can't do it with people watching me. You know, I have a problem with people looking at me. I know, weird, right? But you know, I'll do a little bit here in my room, or I'll go for walks. That's a big, like, go for walks. I used to not like to do that either. But now I just do it when I need to, because it really does get the wiggles out, you know, like, for lack of better words. And then sometimes it really is just cleaning your fucking room, you know, tidying up your space. And I know it's a big joke and a big meme, but it's the real deal. Because not only, you know, is a tidy space help with the noise in your mind, but the action itself is like meditative. It can be, you know. It helps you think. When you're staring at a screen all day, watching TV or playing video games online, or screaming at people on the internet or whatever, like, you get tunnel vision, you know, and there's just, like, you have this huge, wide world view, right? Hopefully most of us do, right? But that's how it's supposed to be, this huge, wide world view. You know, and if you really, like, you get to see the whole big picture and go, okay, you know, everything is kind of okay, you know. Yes, there's suffering in the world, but all is not lost. It's not the end of the world, whatever. But when you do those things and you focus, you start to get that starts to get real narrow, you know, and you get tunnel vision, and then you're only focusing on, you know, the last comment that fucker said to you, or the last time those people ganged up on you in that game, or whatever. and you get tunnel vision, and it's hard to, that's in your brain, gets the tunnel vision, and it's hard to feel your heart and open your heart, when you have that tunnel vision. So, when you're doing stuff like laundry, dishes, putting your stuff away, painting, gardening, playing music, I mean, it's all the same stuff, but even just the simple task of the cleaning your room thing, is helps you get out of that that mindset. And it really is a consumer mindset, and that's what they want, is they want us all to be consumers, not creators, and even when this is a hard lesson for me to learn, that I've always been a slob and I still am, but it's been a hard lesson for me to learn that even the act of folding the clothes and putting them away is an act of creation, because you're creating a clean space, and you're literally creating change in your environment. Weird, right? Simple but totally weird, but it's totally true. Like, and I know everybody doesn't think like me, and that's fine, and not because it's it seems a little abstract and artsy fartsy idealism, but even just at the basic building blocks of experience, you are creating change. These 2 socks were not mated 5 minutes ago. Now they are. They were in a basket 10 minutes ago. 2 days ago, they were dirty in the other basket. But now they're going to be in my son's drawer, so, and that's a good thing. Is there times when these chores feel like chores? Abso-fucking-lutely. Nobody likes to do chores, I get it. And that's not even, the point of any of this. The point of it was to, illustrate how I learned these lessons. And I have a problem with authority, too. So hearing other people be like, clean your fucking room. I was like, but he's right. He's wrong about most of that other shit, but he's right about that. I'm just kidding. He's pretty right about a lot of shit. And I'm not trying to ride that fool's coattails or nothing, because he's still a fucking Kermit the Frog and, whatever. But it's helped me, and in my mental health journey, I've gotten to a space that was really fucking deep and really fucking dark. And I mean, despair forever. There's definitely still days where I like that, especially a lot lately. But, and there was no one else to help pull me out of that at all. In fact, it's almost like people aren't allowed to, but whatever, that's a whole other story. But I had to learn how to do it myself, okay, so, and then also had to challenge my problem with authority, to be able to take some of these ideas, the same people that said these ideas that kind of got me in the shitty space also said these ideas that, hey man, this, clean your fucking room, so that challenging your worldview, challenging my worldview, challenging my own problems, my problem with authority. Whether I put that problem on me or not, it's not the point. It's my problem now. I gotta deal with it. So, I guess the moral of that story is, even when a motherfucker's got a good idea, sometimes you should listen, right? Even if he's a motherfucker. So, whatever. That and clean your fucking room, I guess. But I've seen what that dark place looks like. And I know how virtuous I am. So it was a little bit easier for me. And it pains me to think, and not just think, but to know, because I've met quite a few people that their mental health is way worse than mine, and they're just spinning out of control because they don't know what to do. And so that's part of me thinks that if I say things like this and show, you know, that it might help somebody, you know, crisis management. But then that's what it comes down to is crisis management. You're having a crisis, well, change your fucking scenery for a second. You know, and that's what that all comes down to mostly. Unless it's just a full-on, straight-up unsafe situation, but that's a different story. But that's kind of what happens when you are in an unsafe environment for so long, that so after a while you don't even need an unsafe environment anymore. Your head is already programmed to constantly be in an unsafe environment. And then you're just battling yourself, you know. Am I still battling some bullshit? Absolutely. Some real life outside influence bullshit, absolutely. But for the most part, it really does all come from the inside. And I think I said this before in another video about the elephant that's tied to a stump or whatever, and then you don't even have to tie him to anything anymore. You just keep the rope around it, and he just thinks he's tied, right? And that's really what happens with our heads. It's what happens with our heads when we are victimized for so long and then left for our own devices. But now it's starting to, like in like child abuse and domestic abuse situations, but I'm seeing it, noticing it with other people that have an abusive friend circle or an abusive job, an abusive boss. I mean, people don't think that's a big deal, but it really, really is, you know. And you know, most of the workforce is male, and they're like, oh, soak it up, man up, and okay, yeah, but you're gonna go home and cry your ass out, and then, you know, what's the male suicide rate again, homie? Like, you know, quit acting like these problems don't affect you, because they totally do. And that's the thing, is the men aren't allowed to say these things, so, you know, I was hoping that, well, I still am, I don't care, I'll keep saying it, even if I don't ever get any allies in that regard. You know, I know you can't say it. I know the programming, I get it, but I can, you know, so I'll say it for you. That's fine, you know, and I won't necessarily call you out on it, but don't stand in my way if I'm trying to help someone, you know. Don't stand in my way if I'm trying to help myself, you know? But anyway, I mean, I'm starting to notice that, not starting to, I've been noticing it for a long time, but definitely more so now with the, you know, the lockdowns and the pandemic and all that, you know. People are losing their shit, you know. Your average normie is like losing their shit now, you know, and going, oh my god, all this stuff is really happening. Like, yeah, motherfucker. I've been trying to tell you this for a long time, you know. I know I have. Man. Maintaining your own mental health in this completely tiny little isolated bubble is almost impossible, you know. It's almost impossible for me. I know a weaker man would have jumped off a bridge by now, you know, or blow his head off or whatever. Good thing I'm not allowed to have guns, right? But I deal with it every single day. There's a few days where I get, you know, that mania, you know, from my positive delusions, really is what it ends up being. I mean, I call it what it is. But those moments of hope that carry on, I have a little momentum where I have a few good days in a row. It's like, oh, things might be okay, you know, and have a good creativity flow, and, you know, yeah, there's moments that aren't awful, and there's moments where I feel like I climb a mountain all by myself, even if no one's there to see it. I know I did it, you know, and it kind of builds some muscle memory, I guess, in a way. But then there's days that it's just like, fuck this, man. I don't want to keep doing this, you know. I know what's in store, and, whew. Like, it's bad enough with, oh, and I wanted to mention this, actually, bring this up about, because there's moments where, it's bad enough that, like, there's already some crazy people, right? But now everybody's about to be crazy. I mean it. Like, look around, dude. People are about to go nuts. But one of the things I've learned about your mental health, and if you can't, and there's okay, and this might be helpful for, people that aren't allowed to say they have anxiety or depression or PTSD or whatever, because there's a lot of people that can't, especially the men. Yes, it is important to have peers that have like similar mental health issues, even past abuse issues or whatever, that they're safe people to talk to about your symptoms and the whatever, but I have found personally, and from what I've seen even professionally, but even just in my own personal experience of what I've seen and experienced, it's really important to hang out with people that are stable, as like model behavior. Behavior can, you don't want to be just like that guy or whatever, but to be able to witness, not on TV, but really witness like model behavior of other people living their life is a really good thing, as opposed to surrounding yourself with other crazy people. Connecting with other people, is important. Like the other people that have the same problems, the other crazy people, whatever, the other mental health consumers. It is good. It is important to connect with those people so that you remember, that this is okay. This is a normal reaction to your condition. But hanging around other people that are very sick and that aren't trying to get better is really going to have an effect on your own mental health and your own recovery. I've definitely noticed that. So, like, in myself, I watched it happen, personally and professionally, and then I got really sick, and then on this journey, seeing what's happened with me, yeah, it is really cool to be able to discuss these ideas with your crazy homie, but he's kind of, going down that rabbit hole again, probably not a great fucking idea, and I almost liken it to addiction, if trying to be sober, don't hang out with your using friends, and again, it's not to say it's like, sensitive, tricky shit. There's some people that are sick and they're just okay being sick. In fact, they'll play up on being sick. That's pretty fucking disgusting. But you know what? Whatever gets you through the night. But you don't have to do that. And it is okay to, when you see that happening, to go, I'm going to pull back a little bit and I don't want to do that. Because, yeah, it's like, fuck. Maybe I could get away with a whole bunch of shit with as crazy as I fucking feel and am half the time, man. I feel like I could get away with a whole bunch of shit just going, oh, I'm fucking crazy, but I don't want to be. You know what I mean? So I'm like, don't be crazy. But, there's also been times where I could have really used that as a defense, because that's what happened, PTSD is a bitch, man. Depression, anxiety is a bitch. Stalking is a bitch. A real motherfucker, even. But I want to get better, I really want to get better. I don't want to live a life of Social Security and food stamps forever and hanging out with other wackos that are gonna, try to victimize my children because we're easy targets, and that's what happens. So, but anyway, it's part of my mental health recovery and my personal recovery, from violence and whatnot, and kind of how that ties into my activism. Because it's a tricky one, man. Trying to combine all those worlds together at once is like hella tricky and scary as fuck. But you know, thank God for. Well, I'm not gonna say that in case my probation officer's watching, so thanks for coming to my shed talk. How do we stop it? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh yeah, the end button.